All right, welcome to People's Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Doug By here with Andrew Garganese and Joey G Money Janolfi. And it's just the three of us tonight. We're missing a guy.
Ah, It's so much easier to look at the screen without him here.
So
Sweaty Pits himself.
Sweaty
Oh,
Pits
Gone.
himself.
he's
He is
cruising. He's cruising on the open water, probably wearing his pineapple bathing suit, enjoying the people.
hopefully not enjoying them too much with his pineapple bathing suit.
Yeah, not this close to the wedding.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. Hopefully she's keeping an eye on him. All right. And I don't think she has to.
Nah.
All right. We got a packed episode while Mike's not here. This is our Make Mike Happy episode. We were just saying. All right. So we're going to do rapid fire. We got a lot of trade talks because for a lot of leagues, this is the trade deadline is this weekend.
Deadline time.
So we need to talk. We need to discuss all these different trading strategies. We got Joe's B for the week. We got DK lineups, and we'll throw a few other things in there. We'll mess around a little bit. Let's get this thing started with some rapid fire questions. Let's get fired up early. Let's get nice and warm
I'm not
up.
warmed up yet. I'm not warmed up.
I don't know. All right, you boys ready? We're gonna try to do a minute here. All right, let's start.
Go
Question
for it.
1. James Cook versus Jets or Isaiah Pacheco versus Eagles?
Check up.
Over under half a touchdown for Kittle versus Tampa Bay.
Over.
Buy or sell Justin Fields is top 12 QB at Detroit.
Sell.
Over under 100 yards for CeeDee Lamb at Carolina.
Over.
Under.
Tank Dell versus Arizona or Deontay Johnson at Cleveland.
Dell.
Sell.
Buy or sell HN is going to pick up where he left off.
Buy.
Sell.
Over under 50 yards for Calvin Ridley versus Tennessee.
Under.
Yeah, over.
Joe Burrow at Baltimore or Sam Howell versus New York Giants.
Owl.
What happened to Joe?
How?
All right. Buy or sell Noah Brown. And that's the question. Buy or sell Noah Brown.
Bye.
Sell.
All right. Over
Sell
under
high.
over under 1 interception for Josh Allen versus Jets.
Abstain.
Where you got, Joe?
Over.
All right. Well, we definitely went over a minute, but
Yeah, there was a
Over 2
couple of
minutes.
them, like Josh Allen. I said over right away, so there's a couple that it must have cut out when I was saying
yeah.
something.
I couldn't hear you completely. I don't know if Andy did.
I didn't hear the howl thing either.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, sorry, my bad. Yeah, I said how quick.
All right. Well, that's it, Andy. I told you we're gonna have to discuss the Bills a little bit before we get into trade discussions. I did get a request from a listener that
Was it Mike? Was it Mike? Just tell me if it was Mike or not.
No, it wasn't Mike. He said, I'd like you to ask Andy on his thoughts about the Bills canning Dorsey.
Yeah, I like it. I got to be honest, at this pace, I don't think McDermott makes it through the year. They really have to. Joe Brady picks up. He's been an OC in the league before, not a good one, but he's been one. So, it's not like they're falling back on absolutely nothing. Dorsey was bad, but he had spurts of good play calling. He game script. They usually do like those first drive, the first 15 snaps or whatever. Sometimes he really did have some good ones, but for the most part, they were just too inconsistent. It looks like Josh has regressed. I don't know if you can put that on Dorsey himself or, Josh has kind of had a couple injuries, whatever it might be, but a change had to be made. You can't play the way they're playing. And I'm as big of a Sean McDermott fan, I think, as there is. But at this point, it's not even just the offense. You guys watched Monday night. It was a comedy of errors. Drop passes leading to picks, fumbles. Josh Allen, he couldn't even hand the ball off without the ball fucking hitting the ground. And then the whole, last second field goal, they leave 12 men on the field. It's just every possible thing that can go wrong on every side. Even their kick return, right? Marvin Mims was fucking chewing them up on punt returns, kick returns. They're just not playing good football. So heads got to roll, and Dorsey's obviously the first person I had to go. I mean, there's a large contingent of Bills fans that didn't even want him back this season.
Hmm.
I wasn't one of them. But it's just, he's the first domino. So if they don't pull together quick, come on, Ben Johnson.
Yeah, he's the fall guy. Interestingly enough, I saw that they're 7th in points this year, though. It's not like they're struggling to get points. It's just.
But we
Turnovers.
talked about this when I can get words out without fucking getting red in the face. It's not, they can set up these drives. They just look beautiful. And then they go legitimately 6 drives of turnovers or punts, 3 and out, whatever it might be. It's just, they don't do anything consistently, and they struggle to like move the chains consistently. There's no, 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards. It's boom play, touchdown. Don't move the ball for a quarter. It's just not how you win in the NFL.
Okay, so to make this a fantasy question, who are you buying low on the Bills right now? Are you buying low on the Bills right now?
Is anybody really selling low on the Bills? Fantasy production wise, JA and Diggs are still. I think JA is still QB1. I think Diggs is still running wide receiver 4 or 5 or something like that. Even though they've had a couple off weeks, and then everybody else, if you're talking, James Cook's probably the next guy up, right? Round 5, round 6, he's still kind of producing. There's really nobody else that you took that high. Gabe Davis is maybe a 9th rounder.
I think that's the most frustrating part as an outsider watching, is that James Cook has been super efficient and they just don't use him. I think he's averaging over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, but he doesn't. After the fumble, we've been over this a couple times, but after the fumble, he ran like a fucking running back that we watched growing up, right? You hit the hole, you just duck your head and fucking try to run something over, you fall forward.
Oh, it lit a fire under his ass for sure.
And the first, in the beginning of the weeks when he wasn't seeing those first few weeks, where you come on here and complain, he had like that air of entitlement to him. He'd get a ball, and instead of trying to gain a yard or two, he just steps out of bounds and flips the ball to the ref and jogs back. It's like, dude, you're a fucking running back in the NFL. You get that yard. You don't just step out of bounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's been better with that in the last few weeks. You just got to hold on to the fucking ball.
All right, last question with it. Is Gabe Davis a buy low at all? Do you think? I feel like he could be producing more now. Maybe they'll get him involved a little bit more.
I think he is pretty much who he is.
Yeah, Kincaid is kind of taking that role, right?
He's going to have great games. He's pretty touchdown dependent at this point. And yeah, I mean, Kincaid has chewed up a lot of targets. And Gabe's going to give you a game with 5 receptions, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Like he's going to do that for you, but you just don't know when they're coming. They come against good teams more than bad teams, which is weird. But yeah, I don't know.
Probably has to do with like doubling up. Yeah, probably has to do with doubling up on Steph and all that stuff. All right, Joe. This person would also like to ask, are you jealous since the Steelers still have Canada?
Oh man, I've been waiting to say, imagine looking at 7th ranked offense, getting rid of their offensive coordinator, and you're sitting back at 28th in the league. You have a minus point differential, but your defense keeps you in every fucking game, and your offensive coordinator is still there. I don't know if you guys saw the meme that got put up, but it was Roethlisberger's last 2 seasons versus Pickett's first 2 seasons, and the numbers are stupid.
Yeah, you sent it to us.
Ben looked.
Yeah, we saw it.
That's how. I forgot how many people I said to. Man, I blacked out when that because it was just so infuriating. Because Ben looked so bad at the end of his career, and he still had 50 touchdowns, 20 interceptions the last 2 seasons combined. Pickett has 13 wins in his career, 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and he's only thrown for like 3,500 yards in a passing league. Now, don't get me wrong. We'll always be a run-first team. Always have been, always will be. But, I mean, I'm envious of them getting rid of their offensive coordinator. Yes, it's nice to be 6-3. We're in the hunt. If we win this week and Baltimore loses this week to Cincy, we'll be in first place, which is mind-blowing. But, yeah, no, I'm very jealous that they noticed something that's not working and made a change.
It's fine. We're all kind of in this. Well, we all are kind of in the same boat right now. I think I think, well, both of you guys at least have teams that have a little bit of promise. But I saw a stat recently that said Mac Jones has just as many losses at Gillette Stadium as Tom Brady did the entire time Tom Brady was here. So there's that.
Yeah, nobody feels bad for you, Doug. We tell you all the
Nobody
time.
feels
That's
bad.
fine.
Listen,
That's fine.
not one
And
person.
This is
Hey,
a pity party
I
for
don't want you.
me and for Joe. No one cares about you after that fucking 20-year stretch. Maybe in like 2030, if you guys stay at
Yeah.
the bottom of the barrel, we'll start listening. But
Okay.
until
Yeah.
then,
All right.
Don't give
Fair
a
enough.
shit.
Fair enough. I don't blame you. All right, let's talk some trades. Let's talk some trade talk now. Andy, a few weeks ago, you did something I've never even heard of. It's something I've never even really thought of doing that much myself.
Wouldn't have thought it was possible.
Wouldn't thought it was even remotely possible. Andy, you made a 5-team trade in fantasy football, and I'm curious to hear how this all went down.
all right. Well, yeah, this is wild. I have a very loaded roster in the league. A lot of very good receivers. I was a little light at running back. I wanted Brees Hall. Guy would not give him up without getting a wide receiver one. So I wasn't going to give him any of mine. I had a pretty good bench. I knew that the owner, who was actually Mike of Garrett Wilson, was looking to move Garrett Wilson. So I went back to the Brees Hall owner. I said, if I get you Garrett Wilson, I had Michael Thomas, New Orleans Mike Thomas, and somebody else. I can't remember who the third person was. Would you accept that offer? He said no. He needed a tight end. Now my tight ends are Dalton Kincaid in the 10th round. It's slotted keeper, and Evan Ingram. And at this point, Kincaid hadn't really blown up, so I'm not giving up either one of those guys. So knowing that the dude's a Patriots fan, I was like, I'll go get you Hunter Henry from another guy. If I give you Henry, Michael Thomas, and Garrett Wilson for Brees Hall, will you do it? He said, yep. So I go to Mike. Mike will take nobody on my team except for Tyler Algier and one of my starting wide receivers. I said, not going to happen. And he gave me a list of wide receivers that he said, if you can get me one of these wide receivers, I will do it for Algier and that wide receiver. Go to the Hunter Henry owner. Same thing. I offer, his team's bad. I just offer him, he has like 2 or 3 tight ends on his team. So I offered him Josh Palmer, pre-Josh Palmer for Hunter Henry, just an upgraded a flex option. He says, sure. So I got the Hunter Henry piece done. I now have to go after Chris Godwin to make the Garrett Wilson owner happy. I go get Chris Godwin for James Conner, who was on the IR at this point, Damian Pierce, and Rashid Shaheed, I think it was. I got those 3 for Godwin. Packaged Godwin, Algier to Mike for Garrett Wilson. And then I packaged whoever it was, Josh Palmer for Hunter Henry, and now Hunter Henry, Garrett Wilson, Michael Thomas, off to the original owner of Brees Hall to get Brees Hall.
Wow. I'm not sure
Wild.
if I'm more impressed that you made it happen or that you could remember all those pieces just now.
It was a long day.
Off the cuff.
It was a very long day of putting a trade together. But yeah, honestly, I was telling Mike this at one point. Like, I don't even care if I lost a trade. Once I had like 3.5 parties like in,
Oh, you had to.
I was like, I'm going for the glory here. Like, no matter how this shakes down, if Brees blows his ACL, I'm still pulling this fucking trade off.
Yeah.
5 teams.
It's unbelievable. That's very creative because I wouldn't have thought that way. Now I'm gonna think that way next year, maybe. But
so to finish this off, my starting roster is now Tua, Keenan Allen, Puka Nacua, who's a 10th round, Josh Jacobs, Brees Hall, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, and either Dalton Kincaid or Evan Ingram as my starting tight end.
wow.
And that's a 12-team PPR. I'm fucking loaded.
That's stacked. And what place are you in that league right now?
Second with the second most points.
Okay. That's a stacked team. That's impressive.
And I'm climbing. And now I need water because that was
a lot. All right. I got a couple questions for you guys. in all of your leagues, who is the guy you find yourself trying to trade for right now more than anyone else?
That's
We just lost Joe. I think he might have gotten a phone call or something. I saw him swiping at the screen. I go ahead, Andy, if you got a guy in your head right now.
T. Higgins. I've made a move for in 2 leagues. I am unsuccessful thus far, but
But
I've made a
that's kind
couple
of the
plays
guy
on
you want to
trade.
go for right now.
He feels like the easiest buy low candidate. He really does. I don't.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like I can get him for. I don't even know. Apparently, whatever I think is wrong because nobody will fucking do it. But I do feel like I'm teetering on the edge of getting him.
Yeah, because he just
Uh,
got hurt again. So
no, they got the bye week. I think he'll come back. Wait, no, not the bye. What do they got? They got a bye week coming up. Am I making that
no,
up?
they're all done with their bye.
Hmm.
All right. Joe just said he's going to be back in 5 to 7 minutes, which I've never seen that before. But that's an interesting amount of time.
You making a move for?
I like trying to go for James Conner right now, because just came off the IR. It's probably going from a little bit late, but I want to go for that guy before he has his boom day. Because that's going to be coming with Kyler Murray back. Then he's going to be unattainable.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard. I still want to try to go get Tony Pollard because I still believe in the talent. I like that offense a lot, and I think eventually they're going to let him get a touchdown too. Everyone else is getting him. So
I tried to make a move for Pollard in one league. I can't remember exact. I think it's a full PPR. But the guy that has him is pretty like no, he is like he took him whatever it was top 15, but he's like pretty good where he is with him, and he thinks he's going to be just fine. Are you running into the same issue with Pollard, or I don't think
yeah,
anybody like I can't get my guy to sell is basically what I'm saying.
right. The guy in my league who has him, I already took Derrick Henry from him, so I don't think he can afford giving up Pollard as well. But I mean, I traded for him with Joe in that 16 team league we're in. And, so far it's been obviously, because he hasn't been great. But my team is pretty solid in that league. So I still like having him as my, one or two running back. But yeah, I'm probably gonna throw out some flyers with him, some other teams, other leagues.
Yeah, I don't have the ammo to go get him in the majority of my leagues at this point.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, I think you're right. I think people are still holding him at a really high standard, though. Like I spent a lot of draft capital on this guy. I'm not giving him up for nothing. Which I get to a certain degree, but
Yeah, you got to cut your losses. Not that he's a loss, because I mean I'm trying to trade for him.
we're
But
trying to get him
there's
exactly. So
yeah, there's like certain players like that, like the name, right? He's like a household name, or wherever they took him. Where you get to the trade deadline, they're like, no, I'm going to hold on to him. It's like fucking why, you're
yeah,
not going to keep him. Like,
yeah. No, some of them you should just sell. Just cut your losses, sell, get what you can for them, move on. All right. Another thing I wanted to touch on is what's your favorite type of trade package? I mean, is it 1 for 2 for everybody? There's 2 for 1s. There's 1 for 1s. There's
correct.
5 team trades that you do.
I don't. It doesn't matter to me. Like, Mike is not here, so I'm going to speak for him because I've had this conversation with him a million times, so I can do this. But he wants to be the one in the 2 for 1. He always wants to give up the 2 and get the 1.
Yeah.
Like always.
I think him and
But
I think the same way with that, actually. But go ahead. Sounds like you don't, which
right.
is good. That's great.
No, it's not. It's not that I don't, because And then I was like, fuck Joe. He's hey, buddy.
Shit, he's back.
No. Sorry. A little situation at the Genoff household. Everything's good.
Everything.
Little situation arose. We're good though. I apologize.
No worries.
We're talking trade scenarios here. Which side of the trade you like to be on? Anyway, I don't care if I'm the guy giving up 1 for 2. It really doesn't matter. I think it's a team dependent thing. Sometimes I just need points, and I'm looking for somebody like Mike that I can dump like my star player for and get, if you got a star player, especially mostly we talk here half PPR. Your half PPR guy is what? 18 is like your stars average.
Yeah, he's getting around
right?
there. Yeah. Yep.
If my team's struggling, I have no problem dumping that 18-point a game guy for two dudes that are going to get me 12, right? Like mathematically, I know that's going to make me better. It stinks to give up your best player, but that doesn't bother me. I don't always have to be. I prefer to be in a situation where my team is better and I can give up a legitimate starter and a good bench player flex option and get a better consistent starter. But that's not always the case.
It's tough. Yeah, it is very roster dependent. I think my point with that, with Mike, I agree with him with I want the best player in that package. Because if I get that 18-point player and I'm giving away two 12-point players, I can plug in a 7-8-point player where one of those 12-point players were and still be on top. Still having, you know what I mean?
I think a lot of that is also for us, right? We take this shit too seriously. I think we work the waiver wire a little bit more than most people too. And we can stream people not better, but we do it more than a lot of people. So I think a lot of people maybe that, I don't know. They like to hold on to that 2 12s, the two guys that they know and that they can just start a lot of times too. I don't know.
Yeah. Joe, one of the other questions, are there any players right now that you find yourself going for right now that you're trying to trade for right now?
Right. So before he blew off, I was trying hard to go CD Lamb in a couple leagues because I loved his schedule on the second half.
Yeah, that's impossible now. That's gone.
It's now, now it's off the table. I know I traded him away in your league, but Devontae's a guy, I think, with Antonio Pierce as the coach. Like he said the other day, he knows who his best players are, and he's going to get them the ball.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not an idiot. I know. I know who needs to get the ball.
Yeah, when you hear a coach say something like that, that's the type of guy I want to go get. So either him or Jacobs, I think, you could see start to thrive and get that ball and be their guy. I know it's a reach, but Aaron Jones needs to be the focal point of this Green Bay offense. He needs to be. Andy's probably laughing because I won't give up on my guys, and he's probably thinking Darren Waller all over again. But I don't see how they don't see it, that they play better when he's getting the ball and he's the focus point. And I just don't think you'd have to give up a lot for him. And I think their hard part of the schedule has passed. I also like Devontae Smith, though. I think A.J. Brown's gotten the ball so much lately and stuff. I think you can get Devontae Smith for a good price. And I think the Eagles need to score in the second half of the season. I think they're going up against a couple pretty good offenses on the back half of their schedule. So I think you're going to see him get the ball a little bit more.
All right. I like that. I like those answers. Some good names in there. So on the flip side, is there a player on your team that you're trying to trade away right now?
Trying to trade away.
So I'll say who I'm trying to trade away in my league, and it's Noah Brown. I want to trade him at his highest point right now. Right. And I don't know how people view him though. That's my problem with that. Is everyone going to be like, I don't really believe in that, because I personally don't so much. So I'm hoping I can take advantage of someone who does.
See, I'm on the side. I like Noah Brown. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he showed some things in Dallas, and like I said, he was hurt at the beginning of this year, and he just looks like he's got a comfort with CJ right now.
He's got a role now. He's at least the number 3 receiver now there. But
yeah.
So what do you want?
Yeah, on my team, I would probably say I'm debating. I have too many tight ends. I need to move one of my tight ends and try to get something with one of them and upgrade another position. But also, like I was telling you guys, I don't like having 2 quarterbacks to fight who to start with, because then I'm always pissed off. So I may be trying to move one of my quarterbacks right now. I have CJ Stroud and Tua, which are obviously guys who put up points. So I think I'm going to test the waters shortly and see what I can get for one of them.
It's a good idea for you to try. I think what Andy was talking about at the beginning of the year is all coming to fruition now, where it's very deep. The quarterbacks are very deep right now. So there's not a lot of teams out there who need a quarterback.
No, like I drafted Tua pretty late in the draft, and then CJ Stroud wasn't on my roster.
Exactly. He wasn't on any rosters. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
For me, and this isn't because of a skill thing, really, I'm trying to trade Puka, but one of the leagues that I have him in, I am really in need of a running back. It's the 16-team league where there's just, I mean, you have to make something happen in order to roster a decent team. And the other league is that league where I pulled off that 5-team trade, and that's just because he's a 10th round keeper. And I have Kincaid, who I think is a 10th or an 11th, and I have AJ Brown, who I've had for a couple of years, but he's like I think I've had him since he was a rookie, and he's like a 7th still. So like I'm obviously not giving up AJ, and I Kincaid in a 10th, and at the tight end position feels like a steal going forward. So I mean I'm trying to just ship away something slightly better, but yeah, I'm not just gonna give him up because I give him up for nothing because I think he's still viably.
So you guys only do one keeper in that league?
Two. We do. So I'm AJ and Dalton, which is why I'm okay giving up Puka, because I have Dalton and AJ.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can keep one if you want, but it just doesn't make any sense to do that.
But yeah, like you said, like don't give him up for nothing because you're still playing for this year too.
Yeah.
All right. You want to try a little different kind of meter? We do the panic meter, we do the believer meter. Let's do the trade meter this week. And by the trade meter, I want to make it to where it's on the interest level that you have for this player, right? So a 1 being no interest at all in trading for him, a 10 being I have a ton of interest in this guy. I want him now. All right.
Okay.
All right. Don't clip that, Mike. All right. First name, Justin Jefferson. Where you guys out on him? Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
so 2 10s, 8.5. I like it. All right. I thought we were going to get 3 10s, so I want to hear about this 8.5.
Josh Dobbs. I actually traded for Jefferson on his first week on IR. So I understand the want for him, but when I did that, Kirk Cousins was still the quarterback. And I love Dobbs, but he's not Kirk Cousins. And to me, that just hurts Jefferson's value slightly. That's all.
Okay. So that's the only reason you're just a little bit lower. I mean, Hawkinson almost looks better without Cousins, which is amazing. He looks like he's going to finish tight end 1 this year. All right.
I had to trade Hawk to somebody's best friend in this chat.
Oh, right shit. Yeah, Winpenny. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not retarded.
Yeah. What a mistake.
Oof. What was that trade again?
He's in first place in that league, too. His team would be ridiculous if he had
long. I don't know. I was trying to get a running back and Evan Ingram. I can't remember the exact trade, but
yeah, I forget.
I do remember it not being like that ridiculous at the time, even though. But now it's Hawkinson's number 1.
He just felt so disrespected because Cousins had just gone down.
Right. I get it too.
That's where you got to put pride in the pocket. You got to think football.
100%. Next guy, Saquon Barkley. Where you guys out on him right now? With do you want any of Saquon Barkley? Do you want to buy him low? He's got Tommy DeVito.
I hate this because I normally love Saquon.
Okay, same here. I'm a 2, 4, 7. Okay. Joe, go ahead and talk about your 4. Then you don't want him.
So, I mean, there hasn't been much this offense has shown us with really anybody this year. If you're the Giants, what do you have to play for? I mean, Saquon, I guess he's on a 1-year deal, so like you don't give a shit if he gets hurt or something after this season. But like, I want pick 1 if I'm the Giants. I don't. At this point, you're not winning. You're not running the table and going to the playoffs and making a run. Your team's gonna be fucking garbage. I don't care. Don't play for the fans. Fucking pack it in. Let Tommy DeVito throw the ball 60 times. I just don't. I don't know. I don't get what. If you're the Giants, what do you get by establishing something good with Saquon right now and running the ball 80 times? And I worry about game plan. I worry about and like I don't know. Maybe you want to show off Saquon for a trade or something, and like.
But people know what Saquon is. People know what.
I think people would rather you like rest him up and let him do his thing and make a trade afterwards. But This team just fucking is awful. Danny Mac. Sorry, buddy. Your team sucks.
I'm right there with him though. Andy, though, you came in with a 7, so you're still kind of interested. Showing some interest in that
I'm
man.
very interested. Um, he's Saquon Barkley. That's who he is. And I get Joe wants to fucking flub for the first pick, and it's completely understandable. But when we play fantasy football, we're not real GMs of these teams, and we don't know what they're gonna do. So there's a very real possibility that they go out and they play their fucking best player, and they don't really have anything else. Like his average yards per carry is probably going to be shit for the rest of the year, but his usage, which is what we look for, right, is going to be through the roof. They don't have anything else. So if I'm in fantasy, I'm gonna go get him probably right at his value. Like if I can trade somebody, if I needed a running back, I would trade a receiver right in that same tier with him to go get him. I'm not worried. I'm not staying away from him. He's still elite.
Sometimes you have to go away from the fantasy thinking and you have to think like an owner. It's a business. That's the only guy that matters there, right? Like that's the only star player they have right now.
Right.
So
that's why if you're defense, just put 10 men in the box. Like Tommy DeVito's not throwing shit on you. Like, have you seen this kid play? Maybe if is Taylor done for the year? What's his deal?
who?
Yeah, I think he's on the IR.
Taylor.
I don't know if he's done for the year, but
I know he's on the IR.
Yeah. If he comes back anytime, I'd feel a little bit better about having Barkley, but fucking DeVito and Matt Barkley, I'm putting fucking 8 to 10 guys in the box and throw on me if you want.
About the Barkley backfield, you don't believe in that?
No. Give me an old Bears 46 defense against them every time.
All right, let's go to the next guy. I just had one of the guys in my league, Jared, ask if Montoya, who is Sam Squatches, checks fantasy at all because he just sent him a trade request.
No.
Seems like it to be a common thing.
No.
Yeah. Common theme with that one. All right. Next guy, Justin Ferguson. Where you guys at on him? I got a 5 on him. Got 6 from Joe. Andy, you have a 4. Okay, so we're all pretty similar. Joe, go ahead and talk about your 6 then.
Well, I think if you have a tight end need, I think he's one of the ones who's starting to get like one of those low tight end picks or free agent signings that is starting to see the ball definitely a lot more in the red zone. But I think overall in general, they've incorporated him a little bit more in this offense, and Dak's starting to play a little bit better. Still not fully sold on Dak, never will be. But signs are pointing up for this offense with what they've been doing. And he's been getting a decent amount of touchdown looks. So I think if you need a tight end, he's worth one to go for, and you're not going to have to give up a ton to go get him.
Yeah, they're very clearly a throwing team. Pollard's not really doing too much right now. Hopefully that changes. But before this past week, I think Ferguson was the number 2 guy on that team, actually, as far as target getter and his go-to guy. Cooks went off this past week, which was good to see because I kind of thought that was going to be the case coming in. But yeah, I tend to agree with you though, Joe. You want to go to the next guy, or Andy? You want to talk about Ferguson at all?
No, that's we can skip.
That's enough Ferguson talk. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next guy. A little more exciting. Raheem Mostert. Where you guys out on him? With Achane coming back, do you want any Raheem Mostert? Do you want to go for him? So Joe's a little biased, I think. I got a 6. Joe's got an 8. Joe wants people to come for him in my league. Andy's got a 5. Okay, Joe, talk about your 8.
I've said from day one that I've always thought that Mostert is the perfect fit for this offense. McDaniel came from San Fran where Mostert, was had his breakout. I think Achane can. There's no way he can do what he did before week in and week out. I still think they're gonna split time. But I still think Mostert should still be the touchdown guy. I still think he still should be the main back. And I think McDaniels just schemes too well. I think they're both going to score a good amount, but I think Mostert will still outscore him the rest of the way.
Yeah,
it's going to be close. It's going to be close, and it's nothing I'm making a bet on. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very close because even if Mostert has 60% of the carries, we know HN doesn't need that, right? All he needs is one little alley.
One touch.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs one touch a game.
Yep. So, Andy, talk about it.
Nah, I'm even if Joe's right or if Joe's wrong on the splits, the whatever it is, it's still a two-man committee there, right? Minimum. So yeah, I mean, HN coming back hurts Mostert. So I'm not chasing down Mostert. I'm not overpaying. I don't need to have him on my team. And if something, fair value came across, I would definitely consider it, roster dependent. But I do think HN's the guy more than Joe does. But I'm not staying away from Mostert either. I just think he's a solid fantasy option going forward. I want to say RB2, like a low end, mid RB2 for the rest of the season would be my maybe low, somewhere in there, 20.
So I found this interesting. When I was doing a little research for the show on Fantasy Pros, they do weekly rankings. They have both these guys as top 10 running backs this week. They have HN as
Raiders.
number 7 and Mostert at 10. Yeah, exactly. It's a great matchup for them. Do you guys both agree? Do you think that they're going to be both number 1 running backs this week?
I do not, but I'm just playing the odds. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That'd be hard for me to put them both in as number 1 RB choices. But I mean,
I think one probably will.
They're both guys you're playing. Right? They're both going to be flex. Like, there's no way they're not at least flex players, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think they'll both be at least an RB2 at the very least. But I thought that was interesting that he had them both as top 10. All right, next player, Deebo Samuel. I think he just had a rushing touchdown this past week. He had like 30 yards rushing or something, but he's being mixed in like Deebo kind of was a couple of years ago. They kind of played him that way this past week. Where you guys at on him? I'm a 6, Andy's a 4, and Joe is a 7. All right, so Joe likes him. Andy, I want to talk about your 4 though, because so you're still not buying him. Is it the injuries? What is it with him?
It's my whole season prediction on Deebo has not changed. He's still the whole spew I gave early in the show. Love to watch him play. Love the way he plays football. I would take him on the Buffalo Bills every fucking day of the week. Has nothing to do with that. His one really elite year was when he was doing a little bit of everything, and Brandon Ayuk wasn't Brandon Ayuk yet. And I think Ayuk's the best receiver on that team. We've been over that. And, McCaffrey.
He wasn't there either.
McCaffrey. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with him. I just don't. And the defense is so good. I don't think they really have to lean into like just playing offense that often. I don't know. He just doesn't have that much upside to me. And he can still have those games where he gets the 15 touches or the 12 touches, whatever it might be, and score 2 touchdowns, get 160 total yards because he's fucking nasty. But they're few and far between, and I'm just not going to chase that down.
Yeah, I tend to lean your way. Also, there's George Kittle. But Joe, what are you thinking?
I think Deebo's touches are going to go up from what they were at the beginning of the year, and I think the 3 losses that they had in a row was a little bit of a reality check for them. And I think you saw him try to get more involved in the running game and scheming more than he had been. I think he was letting Purdy play his game. I think I think Shanahan, when I say he, I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan. I think he took a step back a little bit in his, overall creativeness and going deep into the playbook for some of his trick plays or gadget plays. And I think he's going to break a lot more of that out going down. And I think Deebo is the person who's the main part of that. I agree. I think Ayuk is still their top pure receiver. But I just think Deebo is going to get a lot more touches and have a lot more of a priority in the second half of the year.
Yeah, listen, I hope you're right, because outside of quarterbacks, I think he's the most fun player to watch when he is on his game. Him and Taysom Hill probably. Those two are just fun to watch when they're playing well.
Yeah.
All right, boys. That was trade meter. I think it went all right. I didn't get
I'm
it
still-
approved from Mike, but
I'm still not entirely sure I played that right, but yeah, it feels good.
yeah, it was. Nobody really knew how it was played. Just came up with it on
Just writing numbers down.
just
Sniffing
writing
my
numbers
marker.
down. All right, Joseph, get that hat on backwards.
Ooh.
It's time for Joe's beef of the week. So let's sit back and listen to some complaining about something.
So, category today was trade talk, obviously. And beef of the week is going to be all about you fantasy owners who are so fucking disrespectful. The guy takes time out of his day, right? Comes up with this beautiful game plan. Like Andy, we all respect Andy's 5-team trade. Guy's working his ass off. Somebody sends you a trade offer. Have the decency to respond and make a fucking counter if you don't like what he offered you. It's not hard. We do this for a reason. It's not to draft a team and then just let it sit in the fucking cloud and turn into something beautiful. It's not what we're here for. We're here to make moves. This is our NFL. We are the GMs. We are the owners. We can do whatever the fuck we want with this team. Be creative. Have some fantasy thoughts and make your roster something special. Fucking put some time into it. Make a counter offer. Even if you think it's outrageous, send me fucking something back. Because then I'll counter your counter. Let's have a conversation. Your team might stink and you need to make some changes. Guess what? Holding on to those same guys, you're not going to make any changes. Your team could be very good. And then I can give you that guy that puts you over the top, but you give me 2 guys back that makes me mediocre. And now I got a shot. I got a glimpse of hope. Let's work together. Let's both be better. Be respectful to your co-owners of your league. Respect their time. Respect their efforts. Let's make some trades.
Well done. I think that was my favorite. I think that was my favorite.
It's pretty good.
Favorite beef of the week right there.
Just fucking respond, man. Like it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. I mean, I've sent a couple. There's only been 1 or 2 in your league, Doug, that just nobody responded to. But it's always mind-boggling to me, man. Like let's what are we doing? What are we doing?
Dude, if I get like an obnoxious trade, I just send an obnoxious trade back. Right?
Yeah,
like
let's
whatever.
have
If
some
you want to
fun
play
with
this
it.
game, it's me. That's my way of telling you like you're not close. You know, if you thought you were. But for the most part, if I get a trade offer, doesn't matter who it's for, I'm going to counter with something. That's it. It's just how
Yeah.
it works.
Listen, plenty
Just
of
to have
times
fun.
I counter even like a middle of the road possible trade with completely different guys, even though like it's not what they were looking for or anything. I sometimes throw better players of mine in just to see where they're at. Some of them.
I mean, you don't always want to trade your wide receiver 1 if somebody's coming at him, but here's my wide receiver 2, and here's what you can get him for, whatever it might be. There's really no scenario where the straight up ignore, not even the reject bothers me, but the ignore and leave in purgatory.
Yeah, and it like goes away after like 10 days. It's like, guy, you set your lineup, so like, come on.
I canceled mine before game day because I'll tell you a story about this. Guy left his trade request up. It was like stars. It was like 2 stars on either team. The guy that offered it, forgot what happened. Somebody got hurt. I can't remember who it was. So the dude that like the offer was there, he just went in and accepted it really quick and sent him back a hurt player.
Oh shit.
So
that's fucked.
I think that if you're the commissioner of that league, I think you have to step in and be like, no, that can't happen.
I don't know, man. It's your roster. If you're gonna dangle it out there,
it's tough. It's tough. That's a tough call. But yeah. I don't blame you then. You always have to cancel that before.
It's an ugly game.
It's an ugly game, boys.
It is. It can be.
We're here to win.
All right, Joe. Thank you for that. Let's jump to our DK lineups for the week.
Ooh.
And yeah, I don't want to brag or anything, but I think I've won the last 2 weeks in our little thing we got going on.
Granted, I'm
Yeah.
broke and I don't put money into that anymore.
Good for you.
All right. Who wants to start us off with quarterbacks? You want to go, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
So
Joseph.
I went with a guy on my fantasy roster, and even though both their running backs are in their top 10, I went with Tua because I just think the Raiders defense is, I don't know, I don't believe in their secondary. It's like middle of the road ranked right now, and I just think Miami can put up points on them easy. So I got Tua. He was 7,700 this week.
I put some serious thought into Tua, and then I was like, I don't want Tyreek Hill on my team. Andy.
Bad man. He's a terrible person.
Is
Andy.
Doug's beef of the week.
Yeah.
With Tyreek Hill
Every week.
18 straight weeks. My quarterback is Brock Purdy. He's at home versus Tampa Bay. We know how I feel about Tampa Bay defense. 5,800.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for the price.
Especially for the price. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. CJ Stroud just put up 6,000 yards on them, something like that. All right. I went Justin Fields, just coming back now against Detroit. They're gonna have to put up some points against Detroit. Detroit, I mean, they might be the best offense in the league right now, the way they're playing with Demont back. I think Fields could have played last week. I think they just kept him out one more week, and because they're not playing for anything anymore. But I like Fields this week against Detroit. Joe, your running backs. Who you got?
Running backs. I'm going with James Conner coming back from injury. I like him a lot this week, mainly because of the fact that Kyler Murray played well last week. I shouldn't say so well, but he played good. I think you have to worry about both angles now. You have to worry about their offense a little bit and him running around back there. So I think it's going to open up lanes for Connor running the ball. But when Kyler played with Connor, he caught a lot of passes too. So I got Connor for 5,700. This one, I was having a hard time trying to find a guy for the right price to fill out the rest of my roster. I went Derrick Henry. I'm not in love with it, but Jacksonville, I think, can let up some running. So for the price range I was in, I went with Derrick Henry.
All right,
6,300. If I didn't say that, sorry.
All right,
Andy,
I took James Conner as well. He's at Houston for 5,700, like Joey just said. And then, I mean, it's a boomer bust game, right? DraftKings, so Achan's coming back. He's 6,600, which is a reasonable price for the shit that he's been doing when he's playing. So at home versus that Raiders D.
they'll use that shiny new toy coming back again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my running backs. I went Eckler. I think he's starting to come back into form now. Love him against Green Bay. Green Bay's 26th ranked against the running backs, so I love that matchup. And then I went Darrell Henderson. And again, so Eckler was 8,600.
Looked at that a lot.
Yeah, I went Darrell Henderson. He was only 5,000. Kyron Williams is still not coming back this week, so I liked him a lot. And again, he's against a team in Seattle who gives up a lot of points to the running backs. They're 28th ranked. And I didn't say it, but Fields was 6,900. All right, Joe, your wide receivers.
Wide receiver. So obviously the first one, whenever I draft a quarterback, I stack it every time I do DraftKings, and I went with Tyreek Hill. If you think that quarterback's going to blow up, you got to pick one of his targets that you think is going to blow up with him. Nobody can stop Tyreek. He's 9,300. Next, I went with Tank Dell. I think this Arizona-Houston game is going to be a scoring game. Dell was 5,900, so I think for the price, he could obviously explode and do much higher than any guy in that range. And then my last guy for wide receivers, I went with Scary Terry, 5,800, and they're playing the Giants. It's that simple.
I was surprised. Scary Terry's having a good year. He hasn't gone over 100 yards this year yet. You see that?
He hasn't gone over like 6,200 in fucking DraftKings either. He's always reasonably priced.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, who's your wide receivers?
So I don't always take the stack like Joe, but I did this week. I'm taking Ayuk to stack with Purdy. He was 7,200. Then I'm going Tyler Lockett. He's at the Rams, 6,500.
It's your boy.
I'm hoping that this is his coming out week. And then I did something I haven't done before, boys. I took DJ Moore.
Wow.
We already talked about the Detroit-Chicago game. Fields maybe he throws nice 2 screen passes and DJ Moore can do all the work again. And 50 5,600. So they got to score points somehow.
All right, I like it. I went Garrett Wilson against your Buffalo Bills. He was 6,400. He's the only guy that you can rely on that offense now. I don't even know if I don't even know how much you can rely on Breece Hall right now. He's a stud. Breece Hall's a stud, but right now it's been Garrett Wilson. All right. I went DJ Moore because I agree with Joe with the whole stacking thing in DraftKings. I think if you think that quarterback's going to go off, absolutely go get his number one target or have a target from him. And then I went Jameson Williams, and he was only 3,300. So that was kind of my throw something on the wall and hope it sticks kind of guy. And but that's what you do in DK. Maybe this is the week that he gets a touchdown. And again, I really like that matchup. I have 3 players in that matchup. So I like the Chicago-Detroit matchup. I think that could be a high-scoring game. All right, Joe, tight ends. Who's your tight end?
Tight end had to go cheap here, and I like this option because I think after what he did last week, he's going to be more of a red zone target. I went with Michael Mayer. He was 2,700, and I think that's Raiders are going to have to try to score and keep up with Miami. So go with who I think could be their best red zone target.
You just won't quit him. You won't do it.
Love my Notre Dame
red
boys.
Zone target. Best red zone target. Best red zone target in Vegas.
You sure about that, Joe?
Do you want to come back from that before I move on? No. All right.
Devontae's their best red zone target. But let me have a say.
Thank you,
all right. Who you got?
I went Evan Ingram. I feel like 4,300 is a good number for him. He gets, I don't know what, I haven't done the math. I didn't look it up, but I feel like he gets at least 8 or 9 targets a game. He just always gets looked at. He's at home versus Tennessee, and their defense is statistically good against tight ends, but I don't think really that good.
Yeah, he gets all those targets that we thought were going to go to Calvin Ridley. That's where all those targets went.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. My tight end, I went Trey McBride. I mean, this guy just keeps on producing. And now that Kyler Murray's back, I wasn't sure last week, but he looks better even with Kyler Murray there. And he was only 4,400. I don't know how much longer he's going to be that low to grab. So I like that. Joe, flex. Go ahead, Joe. I don't know where I was going.
Mike's not here, so I was willing to put this guy on my roster, but I went with Elijah Moore. I didn't have a lot of money left. Pittsburgh does let up a lot of yards to the passing game. I can admit that. I love their defense, but they do. They allow a lot of yardage. So I like Elijah Moore's speed against their defense, and he was 3,500.
Someone had to represent him. I was thinking about going that way as well. But then Deshaun Watson, he's out for the season. So that's why I didn't do that.
They allow a lot. I watch the Steelers every week. They are not great in the secondary, and speed is what usually kills against them.
Yeah, so I like the pick then. All right, Andy, who you got as flex?
I got James Cook, 6,100 at home versus the Jets. Josh Allen struggles. I mean, against everybody lately, but for the Jets, since Saleh's been there, he's not been great against them. So maybe a couple dinks and dunks, and I like the way that James has been running more lately. So that was my flex.
All right.
He fumbles again. Is he just going to be out?
I'm going to drive to Buffalo and cut his fucking hands off myself. Nah, just he's not going to fumble. You see how he ran after that fumble? He was great. Yeah.
You think he's just
going to Josh got it to him?
Think he's going to be running mad the rest of the year now? He's just a pissed off running back.
So.
Yeah.
I really
so that's what you want out of running backs. All of them.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of pissed off running backs, I went with Derrick Henry, 6,300. And Joe pretty much already talked about it all, but I think he's going to have a bounce back week. He had a really bad week last week. I think he had 11 carries for 24 yards or something like that. So I think they get him more involved this week. All right, Joseph, who you got for defense?
I hate spending money on defense, and I didn't really spend money on defense, but the bottom options were real bad. I felt like this week. So I took a shot with the Rams. Rams are playing Seattle at home. Gino has looked like old Gino a lot this year. He had a little bit better game last week, but I'm taking a shot with the Rams against a okay offense with Seattle with what they've been doing. Their players are great. The rosters are great on the offense. They just haven't clicked. And the Rams D was 2,800 at home.
All right. Andy, who you got?
Yeah, once again, bad defense. I'm starting Carolina at home versus Dallas. My only hope here, well, one is that I ran out of money. They were 2,200, but my only hope here is that Dallas jumps up and beats the shit out of them so early that they just coast for like 2.5 quarters and they don't run up the score too high.
I was gonna say that was the cheapest defense to get, wasn't it?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I gotta stop going down the line and then just throwing in defense because every week I get like the worst fucking defense.
It's funny. I've always do my defense first. I don't know why. It just always started that way. So what I went with this week was your boys, Joe. I went with the Steelers because of the Deshaun Watson not being there. They're a good defense anyways. I think they can disrupt what's his name? Dorian Thompson, something
Robinson.
Yeah, he has not looked good. So I love TJ Watt and that defense against him this week. All right. Do you guys, so those are the $1 million lineups right there that we just gave out. $3 million lineups. You guys got any stayaways? Joe, you got any stayaways?
Stayaways. Doug, if Andy's got some, go to
got
Andy
any stayaways?
First. I got you. Yeah.
Right.
Because of the DTR thing, I'm actually staying away from my boy Amari Cooper. Amari's 6,200, which is you can get a good players for that money. And the last time that DTR was quarterback, Amari Cooper had 2.6 fantasy points. So I'm not paying 6,200 for 2.6.
Good stay away. Yeah, he was on my list too. He was going to be on my list. I didn't end up putting him there, but I was definitely thinking about him. You got anyone else?
And then I got one more, Adam Thielen, 7,500. I know I've doubted him before on this podcast, and he seems to keep producing, but I just think Dallas D is going to swallow up that team, and maybe some garbage time love that's going to come back to haunt me here. But I'm staying away for $7,500 Adam Thielen.
Yeah, he had a down week last week. That might have been his worst week in the year, I think. So maybe it's starting to happen. Maybe that 33-year-old body's starting to wear down a little bit.
So, so old.
So old. Joe, you got anyone yet, or you want me to go?
No,
just
the only
one.
So no, Andy, fucking stay away from Kenny Pickett.
You got one right behind you.
Guy's garbage.
He's right
there. No, the only one is just because of the price for him. I love Keenan Allen, but in Green Bay, I think they're gonna find other ways to score. I just don't think he's going to be as involved. I think 9,000 is it's a high price when he's going to be going up against a top cornerback in the league. So,
Speaking of Keenan Allen, did you guys see his shoulder? Did you guys see his shoulder with his shirt off? So in the locker room, they were showing it. They were talking about it the other day, and he broke a bone in his shoulder, and it never healed properly, and so it just protrudes up. Like he has a big bump on his shoulder now. It's look up a picture of it. Honestly, look it up right now while I'm doing my stayaways, because it's interesting. It would bother me. Anything I wear, I think it would bother me a little bit. Anyways, all right. I digress. My DK stayaways. So for quarterback, I'm sorry, Andy. I went Josh Allen just because of the price mainly. Well, not just because of the price, but you already said it. It's 8,200. He's the most expensive quarterback going against the Jets team that he has bad history with, and that's a great defense. Saquon Barkley. We talked about that earlier. He was 7,100 at Washington. I don't want to touch him as long as Tommy DeVito is his quarterback. At wide receiver, Steph Diggs. He was 9,100. Again, sorry.
Stay away from Buffalo.
Kinda this week. I mean, I hope for your sake they win, but I don't think their offense is going to be explosive this week. And at 9,100 versus the number one ranked D, versus wide receivers in the Jets. I don't want anything to do with that this week. Tight end George Kittle. He was 6,400. It's just a lot. I mean, he had his. I think he had a touchdown last week. He's a very boomer bust guy with all those mouths to feed in that offense we talked about earlier. And then my defense, I went with the Bears. They were only 2,400, but at Detroit, I think I've talked about this at length already in this. Detroit is probably one of the best, if not the best, offenses in the league right now, and they're going to put up some points against that team. Did you guys take a look at that picture?
Yeah.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Did you guys take it? Yeah. Not great.
Not
Kind of looks like that big ass cyst Mike used to have in the middle of his back.
Did he? So I actually
he's got shit on the front and the back.
I had something similar on my, not that big, but on my elbow that I had taken off. But yeah, it's gross, man. I don't know. I don't like that stuff. All right, boys. Good show. Good way to end it on little Keenan Allen.
Bodily.
Yeah.
Never mind.
What are you gonna say, Joe? Just say
No,
it.
it's fine.
Nobody watches it this long, anyways. Might as well just say it.
The only person that's going to hear what you say is Mike.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly. All right, boys. If Joe's not gonna say anything, for Andy, for G Money, I'm Doug. We'll see you guys next time. Later.